Here's a truth most people never learn. You can say all the right words, but if your tone doesn't match or your body feels closed, the message won't land. You can say, I'm fine. You can say, I love you. You can say, I'm listening. But if your nervous system is saying something different, people feel that first. There's a reason we sense tension before a sentence, and a reason children know we're stressed even when we smile. And today, you're going to learn the psychology behind that, the science that explains why 93% of emotional truth is nonverbal, and how this one rule can transform every relationship in your life. Welcome back, beautiful souls and seekers of insight. I'm Nori, and this is my AI twin sister Nora, and today we're diving into one of the most misunderstood findings in modern psychology. Albert Mehrabian's 7-38-55 rule, the idea that in emotional communication, words are only a tiny part of what people actually hear. This video will change the way you talk, the way you listen, and the way you understand the emotional signals around you. Let's explore why your nervous system hears the truth long before your mind interprets the sentence. The 7-38-55 rule comes from UCLA psychologist Dr. Albert Mehrabian. And here's what he discovered about emotional communication, the kind where feelings are unclear, conflicted, or mixed. Only 7% comes from the actual words. 38% comes from the tone, the pace, pitch, and warmth of your voice. And 55% comes from your body language, your posture, your micro-expressions, the energy you carry without realizing it. This doesn't mean words aren't important. It means that when someone's emotional message is confusing or contradictory, your nervous system automatically trusts the nonverbal signals first, because your body reveals the truth long before your vocabulary catches up. So if someone says, I'm fine, but their shoulders are tight, their tone is strained, and their smile is forced, your brain isn't fooled. It listens to the 93% they never put into words, the emotional truth that lives beneath the sentence. Let's talk about what Mehrabian actually studied, because this rule gets misquoted more than almost anything in psychology. Experiment 1 was all about tone versus vocabulary. Participants listened to a simple neutral word, something like maybe, but the word was spoken in 3 emotional tones. A tone of liking, a tone of disliking, and a completely neutral tone. And here's what happened. Whenever the tone and the word didn't match, people didn't believe the vocabulary. They didn't analyze the literal meaning. They didn't cling to the dictionary definition. They trusted the tone every single time. Because emotionally, your nervous system is wired to follow the voice, the energy behind the word, long before it processes the syllables. In this study, participants were shown photographs of clear emotional expressions, faces showing happiness, anger, fear, sadness, and then they heard spoken words that didn't match the emotion in the picture. Maybe the face looked upset, but the voice said great. Maybe the expression was warm, but the word was negative. And here's what the research found. When the face and the words clashed, people almost always believed the face, not the sentence. The visual signal carried more emotional truth than the vocabulary. And from this came one of the most powerful insights in communication science. When emotional and verbal messages conflict, humans automatically trust the nonverbal one. This shows up everywhere, in couples trying to resolve conflict, in friendships navigating tension, in parents talking to their kids, in leaders communicating with their teams. Whenever the message is mixed, the body tells the truth first. Here's where all of this becomes real, because the 7-38-55 rule doesn't just explain communication. It explains why relationships break down, and just as importantly, why they heal. 1, I love you doesn't land without emotional presence. You can say the words, but if the tone is flat, if the shoulders are tense, if the body is turned away, your partner's nervous system hears absence, not affection. Words can say love, but the nonverbal signals say distance, and the body believes the distance every time. 2, conflict escalates when tone doesn't match intention. You can insist, I'm not mad, but if your voice is sharp, your chest is tight, and your posture is rigid, the emotional message is still anger. And the other person isn't responding to your vocabulary, they're responding to the emotional weather behind it. This is why tone and body language can repair or rupture connection in an instant. 3, avoidant partners communicate through absence. We often think communication only happens through words, but avoidance speaks just as loudly, sometimes louder. Silence has a tone, distance has a posture. Even the way someone walks out of a room carries an emotional message. An avoidant partner may say very little, but their withdrawal, their stillness, their quietness communicate volumes. The nervous system hears it as, I'm overwhelmed, I'm shutting down, or I need distance to feel safe. For someone with an anxious attachment style, the survival system works over time. Before they process what you said, they're already reading your tone, the sharpness, the hesitation, the shift in energy. They're scanning for emotional danger, not vocabulary. So even a neutral sentence can feel like rejection if the tone carries tension. This is how two people can speak the same language and still feel like they're living in different emotional worlds. Especially those with trauma, trust energy, not explanations. Kids don't believe the sentence, I'm not upset. They believe the feeling behind it. They read the shoulders that tense before you speak. They read the eyes that look away or harden for a moment. They read the breathing, whether it's steady and safe or shallow and stressed. They read the emotional temperature in the room before you even open your mouth. For children, especially those who've experienced chaos or trauma, nonverbal cues aren't optional, they're survival tools. They're wired to feel the 93% you never put into words, the tone, the posture, the atmosphere. And long before they understand language, they understand your nervous system. Communication happens in the nervous system, to men. This is the deeper layer, the part that changes everything. Because communication isn't just about talking. It's about how your nervous system broadcasts your internal state in every moment. People feel your stress before they hear your explanation. They feel your safety before they hear your reassurance. They feel your withdrawal, your openness, your fear, your empathy, your exhaustion, all before their brain even begins to analyze your sentences. Your tone carries the truth of your nervous system. Your posture carries the truth of your emotions. And your words carry the truth of your intention. When all three align, words, tone, body, people feel understood, grounded, and safe. When they don't, the message becomes confusing, and the relationship does too. How to apply the 7-38-55 rule in daily life, 2.5 mini. Let's make this practical because insight is powerful, but insight without action doesn't change relationships. 1. Match your tone to your intention. If you want connection, let your voice soften. Let warmth come through. If you want clarity, slow your pace, speak with steadiness, and let your tone reflect calm rather than urgency. Tone is not just sound, it's emotional information. 2. Be mindful of your body position. Your posture communicates long before your words do. Turn your body toward the person you're speaking to. Relax your shoulders. Uncross your arms, soften your facial muscles. Let your presence say, I'm here, I'm with you, you matter. Because whether you realize it or not, your body is always speaking, and the people you love are always listening. Regulate before you communicate. In hard conversations, don't rush into the words. Pause, breathe, feel your feet on the ground. Let your body settle before your voice speaks. Because when you regulate your nervous system, you regulate your tone, and tone is what people actually respond to. A calm tone creates safety. An agitated tone creates defensiveness, even if the words are gentle. 4. Listen to the emotion behind the words. Words are the surface layer. Emotion is the real message. So ask yourself, what is their body saying? What emotion is living in their tone? What did they show that they didn't say out loud? When you listen with your ears and your intuition, connection becomes deeper, smoother, and more honest. When someone says, I'm fine, listen to the 93% they didn't verbalize. Because emotional truth rarely travels through vocabulary first. It travels through the breath that suddenly shortens, the shoulders that lift with tension, the eyes that avoid contact, the tiny pause before the sentence, the energy shift in the room. Your nervous system is incredibly intelligent. It notices all of this instantly. Long before your mind analyzes the words, your body already knows whether this moment feels open, guarded, hurting, or overwhelmed. So when someone says, I'm fine, don't cling to the sentence. Pay attention to the tone behind it, the posture supporting it, the emotional temperature underneath it, because that's where the real message is, and that's where connection begins. Here's what I want you to walk away with. Communication is not a language problem, it's a nervous system problem. People don't just hear your sentences, they hear your emotional state. They feel your internal weather, your storms, your sunshine, your tension, your softness. They feel your openness or the walls you didn't realize you put up, long before their mind processes a single word. When your words, your tone, and your body sit in alignment, that's when connection becomes safe. That's when people relax around you. That's when trust forms naturally. But when those signals conflict, even if your intentions are good, the nervous system gently whispers, something is off, something doesn't match, something isn't being said, because the body always tells the truth, even when the words don't. Thank you for spending this time with me today. I'm Nori, and this is my AI twin sister, Nora, and together we explore the psychology of communication, connection, and healing, the inner patterns that shape how we love and how we are loved. If this video brought you clarity, compassion, or even one moment of insight, please like, share, and subscribe. It helps this little corner of the internet reach more hearts who are trying to understand themselves and their relationships. And tell us in the comments, which part of communication are you working on right now? Your words, your tone, or your body language?